Jake Tapper spoke to the generic fill-in anchorman on CNN about Mayor DeBlasio's inauguration speech, and this little clip right here tells you everything that's wrong with CNN.
Jake, you heard DeBlasio's inauguration speech today. What does this election mean for the progressive movement? In other words, what does it mean beyond New York?
Well, it means that they have a very vocal, strong-willed advocate for the progressive cause in New York City. And the reaction to Mayor de Blasio's speech today, he talked in his speech about two cities and how he didn't want New York City to be two cities anymore. And this is somebody who was elected with more than 70% of the vote. To his base, to the voters, the progressives in New York City, he gave a very muscular argument in favor of what he wanted to do. But I have to say, there is another reaction. A lot of times, inaugurals are times when when presidents or mayors or governors can reach out to critics, reach out to those who maybe didn't vote for him. This was not that. And I want to read some things that were retweeted by one of Mayor Bloomberg, outgoing Mayor Bloomberg's top aides, Howard Wolfson. He retweeted something written by an Israeli journalist who said, as outside observer, hard to understand the bitter partisanship at de Blasio's ceremony. There's a time for everything, and this isn't it. So that's not from the former Bloomberg aide. He retweeted it, but it may be a window into how those in the Bloomberg administration viewed the tenor of the de Blasio speech.
Yeah, you're right. Usually a speech like this, we expect everyone's sort of included. This one had a different tone.
Useless. Useless. CNN is useless. Jake Tapper is useless. That random generic guy is useless. I don't care about people's feelings. That's not your job to tell me that, CNN. What are you, Dr. Phil? I mean, your job is to take what Bill de Blasio said in his speech and then fact check it. And then tell me whether or not what Bill de Blasio was talking about is true. So, for example, a constant theme, as they reference in the speech, is this tale of two cities. Is this idea that there's the have and the have-nots, and New York City is basically like a group of ruling elites and then the underclass. So, okay, why don't you take what he said, take that idea, and then check the fucking economic data and tell me whether or not he's correct in what he's saying. But no. See, the problem is, if CNN did that, they would realize that Bill de Blasio is exactly correct. And then that would mean CNN would have to go out there and say, well, yeah, he gave a strong speech and turns out he was right about the things he was saying. Funny, weird, huh? But they can't do that. Why can't they do that? Because then the idiot bullies on the right will cry bias. Oh my God, CNN loves liberals. They're so liberally biased because they said that the facts are actually real and that there is income inequality in the world. That's exactly what would happen. So what does CNN do? Well, you can't get in trouble if you play the neutrality game. But by the way, you know what else you can't get if you play the neutrality game? Ratings. Because everybody knows you're bullshitting. Well, everything in the world is 50-50. This side says evolution is real. This side says creationism is real. 50-50. This side says that reproduction leads to babies. This side says that the stork brings babies. 50-50. They both have a point. We need to respect everybody's opinion around here. So that's why Jake Tapper goes out there, and it's inherent in everybody on CNN. It is in their nature to, whenever there's a segment covering a Democrat or a progressive, you have to play the conservative Republican and say, well, maybe this is the case, or maybe that is the case. Whenever it's a Republican on and a conservative, you have to play the Democratic position. Well, maybe this is the case. Well, maybe this is the case. And they've made a grave mistake in their outlook on how to do the news, in that neutrality does not equal objectivity. Always calling it 50-50 is not actually getting the information and the data and the facts out there. In fact, oftentimes the facts are bitterly partisan. And in this case, they are. So while the Republican Party's position is income inequality, schmincome inequality, we don't give a fuck about that. That doesn't matter to us at all because our buddies are rich, so they're doing fine. So we don't care about the underclass, right? Well, that idea is stupid. And if we had an objective media, they would call that out. But no, instead they talk about the tweets and the retweets of somebody on Twitter and how Bloomberg responded to it and who was saying what about, I don't like the tone of this speech. Have you ever noticed how whenever a Democrat wins an election, the media immediately goes to, and the Democratic Party themselves immediately go to, well, this isn't a mandate here. We need to reach across the aisle and work in a bipartisan fashion, and watch our tone. We don't want to hurt anybody's feeling. We don't want to be too sharp in our critique, right? But then whenever it's a Republican who wins, it's a mandate. It's a mandate. George Bush won the election by losing 500,000 votes, but it's a mandate. It's a mandate for his ideas. When he beat John Kerry in 2004, what did he say? I have some political capital and I intend to spend it. Now compare that to what the Obama administration said after they beat Romney. Well, it's not necessarily a mandate. We still want to work with other people.